We're back.
We're back. Let's make sure you're in here.
Yes.
Hi, people.
Come on in. Come on in the room.
In the room.
We are the Unspoken.
Yes,
And
I'm Cecil.
I'm Natalie. And for those who don't know what the Unspoken is we talk about the unspoken communication that seems louder than what you speak.
Yeah.
And we discuss it by talking about Ready to Love and now Love at Marriage Huntsville.
Yes. Because it's hidden in plain sight.
Yes.
The things that people miss and they're like, what did I miss? Where did I go wrong? So we're going to be pointing those things out, and hopefully it's going to help you on your relationship journey, not just romantic relationships, but your friends, your colleagues, your siblings, your parents, any relationship that you have. So we're going to get into it. Let me
just say this. This one episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, was it not jam-packed with nuggets?
This is the first one of the season.
Yes.
So where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with Destiny, because hers was really short and in and out.
I didn't tell you that I was officially divorced. Man, that silence is loud.
Girl. Oh my gosh. While I knew that Destiny and LB were having their issues.
Being a new wife, I don't feel like men compromise as much as we do.
Right.
Even with the baby. I do most of the work, of course.
Hold on, LeBarry don't be helping with the baby?
Sometimes I feel like he's checked out.
You taking my last name is very, very important to me.
Why I wanted to keep my last name? Because of my relationship with my mother and my brother that was murdered. That is my last connection to my family.
Right.
And I didn't think that would, he's like, I'm your family. So it's like, I'm supposed to.
Well, you are my family, but I still had family before you.
It really, really bothered me,
No, we'll talk about this in counseling.
You don't look at those things as things that will break the marriage. Girl, when was this?
Almost a month.
A month? That's not cool.
Listen, I wanted to be there for you in your moment and not make it about me and my moment.
I ain't going through nothing that tough in the last month.
Then you were torn and you were busy.
How you gonna go through that and not let me be there for you?
I needed to do this, and I know you don't like that, but by myself, just so I can get to a place where I can even, release it.
That still doesn't take away from me being able to be your friend.
I know. It took me a moment to just process everything because it was so new, and I wanted to process it by myself without anybody else's opinion or how they felt about anything. It's kind of hard. Like, now I'm like, maybe I should have told them what I was going through, because it's like I'm in a different space, and everybody's like, oh my God, wait, are you okay? And I'm like, sis, I'm good. Like, I'm good. When you signed, it was a hard day.
It was.
But for me, it was like the sun shined different. It was like, you had such a long marriage, and I didn't have that, so I didn't lose it.
I guess Destiny felt like I had enough on my plate and enough going on with my own divorce that she didn't want to feel like a burden. But girl, that is what friends do. That's what we're here for, to hold each other up and push through, especially the tough times, and then celebrate the damn good times.
So what is your take on how Melody, I guess he felt some kind of way that she couldn't be there for her friend?
Yeah, I understood how Melody felt, but I also understood how Destiny felt.
Me too, yeah.
And so the loss of a relationship is grief. You're going through your own grieving process.
Right.
And that's individual.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
For everybody, it's individual. And some people want to call their friends and sit around and, I guess, cry or talk about it. But some people need a space of solitude and silence. And they need to do it in their own way.
And she could have been expressing her grief by helping Melody go through her divorce. That could have been very helpful for her as she was going through her divorce. And I loved how Destiny compared it. She said, look, you've had 14 years of being married to this man. I've had about a year. I didn't lose as much as you did. When I signed those papers, I was feeling relief as you was feeling more grief.
Right.
And I just loved how she kind of summed that up real nice in a bow. That made perfect sense.
It did. And so one of the unspoken things that I want to talk about as far as dating is concerned, Destiny expressed previously about how he didn't help her. It's like she, you know, she had a baby and he just was not helpful in that regard. And in your dating, when you talk about having kids, make sure that both parties understand what that means.
Yes.
Are we both taking care of the child and changing the diapers and feeding and getting up at night? Or is that just me?
Yeah. What's the
mother?
expectations?
Right. What are those expectations? And she, you know, she expressed that he didn't. That's a lot.
And then before they got married, maybe when they had the conversation with Melody and Martell, that he wanted her to take his last name and how significant. She was very clear on why she wanted to keep her last name.
Right.
And he kind of like dismissed it for the tradition of last names, I guess.
Right. So those are some of the things that before you get into marriage, definitely need to have a conversation to make sure that you're both on the same page. Right.
But I do like how they promoted therapy, though.
I did, because she said, we'll talk about that in therapy.
Yeah. So, I mean, therapy is good to just help get a third-party perspective, a professional perspective on the situation and be able to give some tools to help in that situation. So if you need a therapist, is no stigma to it. I think we need to start breaking that cycle. Get the help. If you broke your arm, you go to the doctor.
Absolutely. And it should be just like a checkup. Like we go to the medical appointment for like once a year for a checkup to make sure everything's okay.
Right.
You know, you can treat it like that, to say, I just need to check in with a therapist to just make sure I'm okay. Because sometimes we think we're okay and we're not.
Especially throughout this whole year. I think a lot of things
pandemic
pulled up in us, and with things that we didn't know we were going through.
Right. So that was Destiny. And I do want to touch on something that Marceau said in the beginning.
Okay.
As they started and we're talking about Kimmy and how Kimmy and Letitia were having a feud. And I thought it was very interesting that Marceau said that Tisha is like Martell.
Kimmy feels like, you know, she's like, I didn't really do nothing to Tisha. How does T feel?
Her frustration came from those failed expectations of not understanding Kimmy's position, because it was such a hurtful position for her to step outside of it and look through different eyes and look through a different lens. You know, it's funny, I think Martell and Tisha, they're very similar when it comes to responding to things instead of stepping back off of it and letting it go by.
Say more. Because I was like, whoa. And he explained it so well.
He said that she's not able to step back and see from another person's perspective. Right. And that's been displayed many times. Yes, it is. Yeah. And can also be equated to like narcissistic tendencies. That I don't see myself. I can't see myself.
Or saying that they see themselves, but not behaving.
Don't.
So that's the unspoken.
Right.
They saying it. Oh, I understand where you're coming from, blah, blah, blah. But their actions
say something completely different.
Totally.
Completely different. But I thought it was very interesting that he said that his wife was like Martell in that perspective. And said that Martell will apologize and then a few minutes later
do something stupid
and do something else that's contrary to that apology. Right.
I
also thought that it was interesting that he said that, because later with Tisha and Kimmy, you know, she's like, well, I felt like you weren't there for me.
Right.
And Kimmy is like, well, wait a minute.
Let's pull real back.
I had a situation
Yes.
and nobody stood up for me.
I felt like you wasn't there for me, like I needed you to. I'm like, damn, I had these expectations that she didn't have. So yeah, it was hurtful, but I just had to realize, it's like you said, you're different. Like, I value family, so I can't expect for you to be me. And I even told Marcel this. I was like, I used to like call you. I was like, I stopped calling Kimmy. We don't talk on the phone.
Tisha, because I know you feel some kind of way about me right now, and I don't even know what to say to you.
I need to just know that you care, but for you to be like, I don't even care how you feel, that's something like
Tia,
totally
never
different.
said I don't care.
I know, you don't have to say it, but your action is your
Because
action.
I don't understand.
For me, growing up, you know, I didn't used to hear my mom say, I love you, but just the things she used to do for me allowed me to see her love by action. So it's okay to say, hey girl, I love you, I got your back, but if you ain't checking in on me, if you ain't calling me, if you're not being there for me during difficult times, that is truly showing me your character as how you feel about me. You didn't come to the house like, hey T, you know what I'm saying, let's sit down and talk, or let's go somewhere and hang out, let's do this, let's do that. Let's do anything. That's what I would expect from you. And I didn't get that from you.
When I had to talk with Maurice about Kyla, her saying that I interfered in their marriage, nobody, you, Marcel, nobody said anything to me or her. Like, even when you, Mel, y'all had conversations, Mel didn't call you a name to your face. She didn't call you a trick. She didn't call you a hoe. She didn't say you interfered with her marriage. This girl called me all of those things. The fact of the matter is, nobody was saying anything in my defense. That's how I feel when I say, like, what you're requiring, I didn't feel like I was getting either.
Okay.
And that's where that comes from when I say that. When it comes to me, part of you expects part of me to be a little different for you.
Absolutely. Like, I felt like our relationship was closer than anybody else, you know, with you and anybody else out here.
Tisha's spoiled, and Tisha wants what Tisha wants when Tisha wants it. At the end of the day, it's probably all of us who made her that way by spoiling her and condoning a lot of things instead of saying, like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that, or catering to her, or pampering her. We probably made that bed.
I adore you, T. I absolutely do.
I can appreciate that. It's just your action lately just hasn't been that. Like, I can
hasn't,
know
Tisha.
somebody love me, but you have to show
Tisha,
me
it
also.
hasn't.
Words mean nothing if your action
Tisha,
is not lining
in the last
up.
6 to 9 months, it hasn't been.
Right.
Because
So, well, how do we move forward if your action, because that's just gonna push me back farther, because it is hurtful, because I just felt like we was better than that.
But Tisha, this is real talk. I'm not gonna always agree with you.
I feel like a broken record. I don't feel like I'm being heard. I feel like Tisha's pretty much made up her mind about where this situation is gonna go and the role that she plays in it and the role that apparently she's made me out to play.
I just want us to really move forward and not keep talking about the past. Like, it happened. It either gonna build our relationship, make us stronger, or just gonna keep tearing us apart.
And the unspoken there, the silence that Kimmy expressed was like y'all agreed or y'all condoned it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what was Tisha's response?
That's in the past. Let's move on.
How can we move on? Which was very dismissive.
It is.
Which very dismissive. So, this is what we do in that situation.
Yes.
Acknowledge the pain that your friend has experienced and say, I am sorry that I didn't support you, or you felt unsupported in that way. I never meant for that to happen.
Right.
If indeed you are trying to get past something and move forward.
Right.
Because she's asking Kimmy, well, how do we move forward? Well,
You haven't even acknowledged that you did anything.
and it's hard to move forward
Yeah.
if you're going to continue with the same actions.
It reminds me of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion and how him and the first Aunt Viv got together, and he I saw the Red Table Talk after that, his experience with the psychologist. And he said, I felt like I had to allow her to say whatever she needed to say because her story was not told.
Yes.
And I hurt her so badly that I needed to let her have that space and not justify it, not explain it, not trying to dismiss it. Let her say whatever she needed to say. And that made the whole situation better.
That's a genuine healing experience.
Yes.
Where a person can express their hurt and you allow them to, and you genuinely and authentically apologize for hurting them.
Yeah.
Then you can start to heal and repair relationships.
So you're saying that I can't move forward without healing?
Listen, you're going to bleed all over everybody.
Because Tisha kept saying, they kept showing different takes of her saying, well, how can we get past this? How can we get past it? How can we? And you can't get past something without healing
without
it.
changed behavior.
Right. And that's what Marceau was saying about the connection between Martell and Tisha.
He said the best apology is changed behavior.
Ooh, that was powerful. That's a t-shirt right there.
It is.
That
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It is the truth. Because it's just lip service if you keep apologizing for the same thing and not making effort to actually change.
Right. So, yeah.
We
We shall see if Letitia and Kimmy turn the corner. I love the fact when Kimmy was saying her confessional or whatever they did, how she said, we created this by ignoring it, by not addressing it, by dismissing it. We created this bed that we now are lying in, and that it's going to be a little painful for Tisha to not get the response that she's normally getting, because her family showed that they coddled her. They let her bad behavior be whatever it is.
Listen, and again, she's not healed from her own childhood stuff.
Yes.
With her mom, and she's bleeding all over everybody.
And she said that when she said, my mom never told me I loved her. And like she kind of said that was okay.
She said that, but with
yeah.
her actions, I knew that she loved me. But then she has these expectations of everybody else to kind of make up for that. She's saying,
I
don't have any sisters. So then you have these expectations that you all are my sisters and you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. That's not fair.
Especially if you didn't tell them what the expectation was. And the idea of, because we're sisters, this is the rules of sisterhood. No. Every sister relationship is different. And you have to explain your expectation. You should not have these shouldas because of the relationship dynamic.
And because of something that you have romanticized, and dreamed up in your head that this is the way it's supposed to be. Right. And if you don't have sisters, you really don't have a reference point of what that is supposed to be like.
Right. And if you already had conflict or with your mother and not getting the verbal love that you so desire, and then kind of accepted just the action. Now you're looking for the verbal, the action, and you're clinging on
all of that from somebody else,
right? Because
you haven't healed from that. She hasn't healed,
not
from
at
that.
all.
And
I want her to go to therapy just to unpack it. I think that she is a wonderful person at the core. I think that if that inner child was healed, that she would just be a beautiful person, more secure. I think a lot of the issues that are coming up are just that little girl speaking for her in this adult body. And I think, and I don't think it'll be like 50 years of therapy.
I don't think so either. But a lot of people don't understand that when that inner child is still broken and bruised, you got to do some work to process that and kind of move through it and move forward. Right. And that hasn't happened.
No.
It just hasn't happened.
And I don't know if she recognized that there's some brokenness because she's clinging to everybody. It's like smothering. Right. And when the minute they disappoint her and don't do her expectations, she's like rejecting.
Right. And it's like, you all are doing me wrong. Right. But some of your expectations are just unrealistic.
And then having the family enforce that behavior.
Right.
Reinforce it with, well, she's sensitive. You know that
her siblings, right?
Yeah, her brother and her cousin.
Her brother and her cousin.
Yes.
And again, that goes back to what Kimmy said
Yeah.
about us. We did this.
We did this.
You know, we've allowed this behavior, and here we are. He was like, Tisha's spoiled.
Tisha is spoiled. And that really did sum it up. That she's spoiled, and we spoiled her.
And she did. She admitted we spoiled her. We made that bad.
Yeah. So now it's going to be interesting
to see how they try to, I don't know, I guess change their behavior.
Right.
And not give in to her or not.
Which is going to be
that
the strain on the relationship, because now Kimmy is saying, I cannot condone this behavior any longer.
Right.
I acknowledge my part in this behavior, but now it's not cool for me.
Right.
Now you're expecting more and more and more and never satisfied, and something's got to give. And I think we're seeing that this relationship needs some work.
It does. It really does. And hopefully, if those around Tisha start to, change their behavior, she'll say, well, wait a minute.
Right.
Maybe I do need to do some adjusting.
Yeah.
But her own husband said,
well,
that she's like Martell in that regard, and she struggles to kind of stand back and see herself.
Right.
So I don't know how that's
So that
go.
makes me think of her relationship with Melody. Now I kind of understand the frustration of Melody. Melody has her own family dynamic issues too.
Yes.
So how are those two playing out that role, and they're coming through conflict? But it's going to be interesting how they figure this thing out.
It is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
But speaking of Martell, and Destiny's conversation was interesting.
No, it really was. Wow. The way he lashed out at men trying to be a man.
Oh my goodness. It was just so misogynistic. It's one of those that, I can dish it out, but I can't take it.
Yes.
Really Speaking of that, I saw your picture that you posted.
Melania and I, on our first day.
You've mentioned you got one more to go at the bottom in that post.
It's not a surprise, is it?
Not a surprise, but
I'm moving forward.
It's a fresh wound.
Well, considering any post that I post on Instagram, that's my business, and we can talk about everybody else's business. Let's stop talking about Martell Holt's business all the time, because everybody got something going on.
No kids are exempt from daddy.
No, nobody's saying exempt, but just baby steps. Like this just happened yesterday, and that's a lot.
It didn't happen yesterday. It's been long enough for us to go through a divorce.
Melody has moved forward with her life. So Martell now, I'm gonna claim all my children.
I didn't say don't claim your children.
I'm just saying I can talk about all my children however I see fit.
You couldn't.
Because guess what? I'm daddy. I'm daddy. Period. Point blank. So there's nothing else going forward.
The lack of empathy is jarring.
Listen, I can start talking about my child anytime. What's done is done. I'm gonna live my life. That's it. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody, nothing.
I mean, everything's in God's hands too, but we come down to us. It comes to us to put the work in, though. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Because did you put the work in to make yours?
I did. A long time. We was married for 12 years? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm sorry, but that was a lot of work.
12 years is a lot of work, but it's a lot of work to balance two relationships, too.
See, that's why y'all ass getting a damn divorce right now because of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Mel and I got a divorce because of her mouth. Y'all too much alike. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. You know what
we're
I'm
just
saying?
too much women for y'all.
No, it ain't that. That ain't a good thing.
Because if you can't handle a mouth, really?
No man want a mouth like that.
I'm speaking my opinion as you're speaking yours, and you can't handle it.
I feel that these women need to allow men to be men and women just to be women. Because if not, the women, they're going to end up alone. Because only man that they will end up getting is a weak man. Period.
I've been very respectful.
Whatever.
And you've been trying it.
Whatever.
You're about to get a stiletto in your forehead.
People throw the term around, and of course, I have not assessed him.
No.
But just from what we can see, and we know that we don't see everything. Right. Some things are cut out. but I would say some tendencies, some narcissistic tendencies.
Something.
Where, again, like Martell said, I'll apologize, but then I'll come back and I'll do something that's contrary.
Right.
Or I'll apologize for the moment, but then I'm going to be lashing out at you.
Right. No self-control.
In some way about something.
Yeah.
But the comment that he was making about, oh, it's a lot of work, and she said, yeah, and maintaining multiple relationships at the same time is a lot of work too.
I was like,
and he didn't like that
at all.
And that's when he made the comment about, saying women. That's why you're going through a divorce right there, because that mouth.
Right, and you just like Melody and her mouth, and that's why y'all can't keep a man, because y'all not. I was like, bruh, you're not seeing the full picture here,
right, of actually what he did.
Yes,
right?
It's
the reason why you're here in this situation,
right?
And he said, made that, but it's as if women are supposed to be quiet. It was all. It came across.
Well, he married the wrong one.
Misogynistic, like that's why. Women need to allow men to be men. So are you saying that because she had a perspective, she had a comment, that she wasn't allowing you to be a man?
Right.
As if
that's exactly what he said.
Little, woman, sit over there and be quiet.
Tend to the children.
Be seen and not heard. Which I'm like, ooh.
But then he messed up big time, because Melody is none of that.
None of that.
I don't know if she ever was that. Maybe she changed. I don't know. She was a school teacher at first. Maybe, I don't know. Because I know some school teachers that are like.
And they've been together a long time. They met each other like what?
In college, I think. Yeah.
So maybe she was a different type of person. But what we have seen on the show, she's a go-getter.
Right.
She's a mom. She's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
She's always thinking about the next thing. So for him to say, allow men to be men, I just didn't understand how in that statement she wasn't allowing him to be a man.
And what does that mean, allow? So you're giving us the power.
Like, who is checking you? Who is stopping you from being a man?
Be the man.
Right.
But that goes back to the expectation of what manhood is. And if you don't express what you need as a man in your relationship, then you cannot assume that the other person understands what you want and need as a man.
Right. And again, what those are we traditional gender roles? What does that mean exactly?
Right. And what culture are these gender roles?
Right, because women are like running businesses and companies, and then in some families you have the dad who actually stays at home and takes care of the children.
Right.
Which is, perfectly fine.
It's beautiful.
Whatever works for your family dynamic.
Yes.
And being a man is taking care of your responsibilities.
Right.
Being a man is being honest and faithful and loyal and all of those things. So I don't know.
I want him to go back to his therapist too.
Yes, I want him to stay with his therapist,
because his therapist did not give him space to do that kind of stuff.
No,
he called a spade a spade.
Yes,
you dating a peasant, like you said it. You dated.
He did. He does call him out, which is great.
Yes,
because that's the whole work of therapy. If you have a good therapist, they're not supposed to allow you to just drive off the cliff,
right?
And remain in your brokenness and remain in the state that you came in.
Right.
They're trying to help you.
And even with that being said, just know that in therapy, you're not going to always feel good after therapy.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because it's bringing up stuff.
It's stirring it up.
And you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You have the support of a professional who is helping you.
Right.
In that difficult space.
Right.
But you got to heal it.
You got to heal
it. And you got to put some medicine on it. Like when you had a cut on your leg and you put the medicine on it and it stung.
Yeah.
Right? in therapy, it stings a little bit,
right?
But you're the better for it
because you're just like your metaphor. You're healing.
You're healing.
It's going to get better.
It's going to get better,
and it's going to be a different person afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. So,
ooh, anybody else? I think that is it. I think
so too.
But before we stop, Melody and Martell and how they're gonna co-parent and how
this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Again,
what is your suggestion on how they should start the process when you're dealing with someone like Martell that takes responsibility to a point and then retracts?
So, again, have not met with him, have not diagnosed him, but a lot of the things that I see are narcissistic traits. And when I have worked with women who are recovering from being in a relationship with a narcissist, the best way to do that is no contact. Unfortunately, they have children together.
4 babies.
They have 4 babies. So what I would suggest is follow whatever the separation and visitation agreement to the letter.
Right. Maintain boundaries, even though they're going to push the boundary.
Maintain those boundaries.
Yeah.
Just really maintain those boundaries. My heart really goes out for Melody because, they're doing this show together. And so it's hard to maintain boundaries where it's like, okay, this is part of our livelihood too.
Yeah, because we have to have these conversations in order to make the show good.
Yes.
So
yes,
we have to interact when we may not want to interact.
Right. Because what I've seen from Martell is, again, like Marceau said, he'll take responsibility in one breath, and the next breath he's blaming her for everything.
Yeah.
And it's difficult.
And he knows how to hit that spot. The other woman satisfied me. She never did this. So he glorifying the other person.
It is so disrespectful.
Or how he did that IG post and saying, one more to go. Like, you're digging. And Jesse said, I'm not saying,
it was too
not acknowledge.
soon.
Yeah.
She was saying it was too soon.
The baby ain't going to school no time soon.
I mean, he did. I think that last part could have been a jab, possibly.
Yeah.
I understand he's proud of the father that he is.
As he should.
And taking care of his kids. The last part, he kind of probably could have left out. It could have been seen as a little jab. Well, like I said, my thoughts and prayers go out for Melody because I know it's difficult. And it's difficult with any divorce.
Oh, yeah.
And it's easier when you are on the same page with your ex-spouse.
Even that, being on the same page, having the same expectations and stuff like that, it's still tough because you're no longer in this relationship and you're grieving the possibility.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, that is it.
That's it, y'all.
So, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, subscribe.
Yes.
And, we will see you next time.
Bye.